stick around to the end to see where this is.
So that's how this came out. Actually, this stayed in the car. This was in the car still, and this came out. So, and then in here is that end, which I'm guessing is supposed to be connected into there somewhere. Well, I do believe I found some more pieces down at the bottom there. So God. Right, so while I'm waiting on parts, I'm gonna knock out a few other tasks. I gotta do the front and rear differentials. What else was there? The .4 low viscosity fluid. I'm gonna do a full brake flush on this thing and get, cause I don't know how long that stuff's been in there. So that's gonna get swapped out. That is $30 a liter, by the way. Wow. Yeah, I guess the low viscosity makes a difference in that whole thing, but whatever. So I got that. The cabin filter is probably going to be due for a change, so I'm going to drop that, which is underneath the glove box, and my key fob. So these keys, apparently this is the year, or this version, whatever year, model, something through like 2013 or 14, I don't remember the exact cutoff, but they have the dumbest possible key fob in the world. You can't put a battery in it, allegedly. So you have to cut open the key and solder out or desolder, and then put in a new Panasonic 20 something or other soldered in to the motherboard and put it back together, or just put it in a new key fob case that snaps together instead of glues back together. And that's just to get the buttons working again, because when you put the key in the slot, the power of the car is strong enough for the RF signal and everything else to work. So the car will always start regardless. However, the battery, as soon as you get out of the car, will not hold a charge anymore. So you have to buy a new key fob for it, which BMW Mini doesn't sell anymore. They don't support it anymore. So you got to go to local locksmiths. And the few that I spoke to yesterday, they said $350 to $400 if you're lucky, and then maybe up to 500 and something or other if it has some other coating that's needed or something. I don't know. It was ridiculous. So we're gonna probably forego getting a spare key for a while until I can find a better option on that. So let's get to some of that stuff knocked out before the new parts show up. So there's always one, right? Oil pan bolt. That one, when you got the ALL4, the transfer case is in the way. So I've hammered it up. We're not on it yet, as you can kind of tell. But this is going to be the method. I haven't shaved the socket down at all. I am going to try to just worm it over there and get that thing to come off, though. And maybe push left and right a little bit just to kind of make a little space. Okay, so we've got 19 of them out. Yeah, all the way around. Broke loose pretty easily with a gentle tug, nudge. Yummy. So all I have to do now is figure out how to get that one, which you can't see anymore, out. So far, I had one of these, one of those, and I ground it down. And once I broke it free, I mean, this is a Craftsman, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's a thin-walled 8 mil. But I punched this through. There was a little bit of space, just enough, but it pried it through and then is able to turn it. And once I kind of bent the pan just a tiny bit with this, I was able to get this up here with some vice grips and do basically one flat at a time until it got too steep of an angle. Now, you can kind of see where I gotta go do. I gotta get that out of there yet. But it's loose, you know, so that's a thing. Let's see, let's keep going. Success. Yeah, I just had to get that back up in there again and push harder. Now, what is in here? Drip, drip. There, you catch a little of that, would you? There. So, don't see any glitter. That's always nice. And just some light debris there. Not some pieces here yet. You see that guy? That's got to come out of there. Let's see, can I get that out of there? Okay, bigger piece. I'm not trying to make it. Oh, man. All right, I'm going to struggle to get that piece out. Oh, lovely. Well, no real worry of oil starvation on this one, so that's nice. See what I can get out of here. Let's see what we got in here. Anything juicy? I was hoping that bigger piece that I saw earlier fell in here, but no. Apparently not. Well, there's a little piece of something there. No sludge though, so that's good. That chunk right there, that's just gasket maker. Well, a little condensation in there. Doesn't look bad though. All right. Clean this thing out. Clean that up there. And then we'll put it all back together. All right, I fished both of these pieces out. They were right up around the oil pump chain. Not cool. I had to pop the cover off. I'll clean that out too, but oil pump chain looks pretty good. You know, it's got a little bit of movement to it. That's not terrible though. I may measure it just to be certain. So there's my scientific measurement on how much slack I have on the oil pump chain. And it is exactly 12 mils. So oil pump, slack, okay. Like right on the limit, but okay. Well, we've got some more gifts from the ECS gods. The new wiring harness adapter, the crossover pipe, and look at that little thing. I mean, look at that. There's my hand, right? Look at this little thing. Made in Germany. So, in conjunction with all the other mini repairs we're doing, oil pan is in and cinched. What was it, 8? I can't remember. I don't want to give you the wrong numbers. Oh, damn it. Look what I did. Left that on all freaking night. Well, so much for those batteries. So, yeah, we'll reconnect the exhaust pipe. The pin is back in. I'll go lock the engine, get the timing set. And then before I lower it, I'm going to drain the coolant somewhere. I don't know where yet, but we'll get the coolant out. And then as we're bringing it down, we'll get the water pump off now that we have easier access to it. And we'll continue with trying to bulletproof this engine that I've never heard run before. I'm doing 3 things at one time apparently. So the water pump is out, but I'm tired of looking at my timing chain and I want my bench cleaned up a little bit. So this guy is going in. This end to this side. These are clipped in. These are what broke on my other one, my old one. So anyway, this, you know what? I'm gonna clean this with some brake cleaner first because it's just friction pressed and I wanna make sure there's no oil here at all. La da dee, la da da, la da dee, la da da. Yes, please. Yep, right about there. I like it. I'm gonna put my locks in again now for the 4th time of probably 6 or 7. All right, so the pin is in on the flywheel down yonder. We are flat here, perfectly flat here where these two converge, convince, talk to each other at. Flat back here, no light, perfect gap. I made marks on it too, so it's easier to see, but the writing is here, writing is there. Obviously this is gonna say in and this is EX. 27 millimeter on the big bolt here to rock it if you need to adjust for whatever reason. And I just measured all the pistons are exactly the same height, so they're halfway up, so it's about 90 degrees before top dead center. So the engine is in time right now. And my next step is just to get the chain kind of up and in place. I'm going to put this sprocket on and this Vanos sprocket on, and then put some of the pins in to clean up my bench. It's looking better, I have to say. So that's the plan right now, and we'll get back to it. So this is how I'm doing it. I got all the slack I could out of the right side coming up. Just a little bit of a slack here. The timing chain tensioner is not installed yet, of course. I put my marks back where they're supposed to go. I don't think it matters. In fact, I'm gonna say I know it doesn't matter. There's no timing marks on the actual Vanos themselves, but I still put them back where they were just to kind of give me a reference point. I got that one back in, and I've got those two back in up top, and I put the hub back in. Now I made sure that I degreased both, or everything that the friction is going to be pushing against. So both sides of the sprocket on the timing gear set, the oil pump, and the back side of the hub here. And I just loosely put the crank bolt in. It's not torqued to anything yet. So it's just to hold things in place, and I'm gonna put my seal in afterwards because my seal has this cone on the back side, so I can't put it on first and feel good about putting everything in. So I'm just gonna do it this way. We'll see how it plays out. And I think I'm gonna go put that on next. And then I'm gonna get to the water pump. Now that all the timing crap is out of the way, the water pump is next. I gotta say, I mean, yeah, it's plastic. It's a good gasket though. And it's still, this has gotta be OE, right? I think so. But that looks sketchy. I'm not a fan of that. But this is absolutely plastic. Everything's still there, no concerns, it worked great. This one, metal, okay? It says Germany. This one may say some stuff on it. I don't know, I don't feel like cleaning it. But impeller looks good. A little detents to hold the gasket in place. So it feels like a really good quality one. We're gonna be putting that in, and I just finished cleaning up the mating surface. So not terribly difficult to get to, but she's ready for the water pump. There's my hokey tool. That's what I'm using to hold the crank. Better light. Very crudely made, but very, very useful. Still have the seal to put on. I torqued these two. In fact, let me mark those three before I forget. I torqued these. These are, I think, 24 Newton meters, and the single one up here, that one down there, is 30 Newton meters, I believe. Double check your work. So I'm gonna go get a friend to help hold this thing in place and give this 50 Newton meters. Sorry. Give that 50 Newton meters and then 180 degrees. Then I'm going to take off the timing gear set and rotate this bad boy and see if it stays in time. I still have that in. I had to set that by feel, so as soon as it touches, just to take the slack out to make sure you get tension on the chain while you're torquing these. So make sure you're pre-tensioning that chain prior to torquing anything down with a 180 degree twist. And once I get the crank on, I'll take that out, put the tensioner back on it, lock that in place, take that off, take the pin out, rotate this thing 4, 5, 15 times, and make sure that it is still in time. So here we go. So I've done about 15 or 20 rotations by hand. The timing blocks go back on. The exhaust is perfect every time. This one is like 1 degree off, but I can literally bang the top of my bracket and it falls into place. So I think that's going to be within variance here. The chain looks nice, looks taut. That is torqued. Those are torqued. That is torqued. Those two are torqued. I think I'm gonna put the seal in now and then button up the front of the engine, put the serpentine belt on and the tensioner, all that stuff, and then the motor mount back in, and then I don't know if I'll try to start it or not. I might just crank it by hand, I don't know, we'll see. All right, seal is in. I played the I'm gonna guess game, so it's just inside the outer lip, kind of like where the chamfer is in the machining, all the way around. I think I got it where I want it. So she's good. Next, reinstall that tensioner, water pump, pulley, adapter. I don't know. What's that old toy you used to actually pull? Zing, 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 and then you just let it rip like a motorcycle or something with a road, and it would go and rip and jump, and yeah. Anyway, that's what this thing reminds me of, with a little pull tab up there. That pull tab. Gosh. All right, serpentine belt, the new Conti Tech is in there. Tension has been released. Those have been torqued down to, I think, 9 Newton meters, I think, these guys. What else is in here? Tension has been released off of the tensioner, which is the 30 millimeter in the dark here, that guy. And then the pin, which is built in, has been released. That's still in time. No, it's not, because I rotated the engine a few times. I get this strap out of here. And now I think I can get the motor mount back in. And yeah, that's next step, motor mount. What a pain in the ass. I don't know if it's just, this is an ALL4 turbo or whatever the case is, or the something in the year, mid-year chain, I don't know, something, but I get all of that over there was kind of normal. There is no pin connecting the crossover tube to my thermostat. I think it's just like a quarter twist or something, but I had to disassemble a lot on the turbo, and I should have just waited to do my oil filter change, because look how easy that is now. So there's 3 wires, one here, one over under the turbo, way over there. And there's another one down here. And then there's another one that curls and goes back up onto a device that I just removed, which is part of the cooling for the turbo and a hard line. And that actually broke on me, and I'll show you what happened. But I had to take this valve off as well, 1, 2, 3. And those are, I think, over her. Yep, there's that valve, because that was blocking the removal of the wiring harness. Here's the 19 mil that holds the turbo line on. And on said turbo line, let me go get that real quick. So I'll show you what broke here. So here's my thingamajiggy. There's the O-ring. And yeah, there was no clip, so I don't know if this has been replaced in the past or not. However, this is a molded piece, and that broke off. I mean, very gentle twisting, and it just said, peace out, bro. So, looks like I gotta go get a new line for that. And other than that, I don't know if I have to swap that sensor over yet. I haven't looked at the new one. So that's just a tentative what we've got so far. Boy, what a pain in the ass. But I will say, this tool, I bought a little kit for like 30 bucks with the hose clamp removal end on it. That is really convenient and kind of helpful. But I've used those just as much for some of the easy bits, which makes it easy. So we're gonna do some cleaning in here. And I mean, the turbo looks like it's in really good shape. There's like no movement on the shaft whatsoever. No play at all. And she spins nicely. So far so good there. Anyway, that's where I'm at. And I still have to do the crossover tube. So here's the old one. It's detented probably a good 1/4 inch. This center section. Yeah, it's at least 1/4 inch. This one actually protrudes probably, yeah, I'm gonna screw everybody up, about a mil and a half from the surface here. So I don't know if this is stuck open and this is what it's supposed to be, but this is new. That's old. This is ECS tuning. That is, I can't tell, but it looks kind of factory. I mean, I don't know how many aftermarket companies use barcodes. And there's some numbers there. So, yeah, I don't know. I got to figure this one out. Regardless, though, this is going in 105 degree, and nothing written in there whatsoever. So, here we go. So what I think is funny is I broke that part, the turbo coolant line, or it was broken. So I had to find one locally, and then, you know, O'Reilly's had one. Rhine, even, right? There's the part number if y'all need one. In stock. You know, the most awkward looking line with the upgraded steel fitting instead of the plastic one that broke. But what I can't find, apparently, the most complicated thing in town to find are 2 new crush washers. So it looks like I just got to buy a whole set and have them. Hardware store didn't have them. Ace didn't have, not Ace, but yeah, Ace, the hardware store. Who else? AutoZone didn't have them. Advance didn't have them. Yeah, 2 different O'Reillys didn't have them. So I don't understand why these things just aren't stocked everywhere in multiple sizes. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I am going to take off the intake manifold. That is just in the way, and I need access and visibility. So because I have the ALL4, the front differential is in the way, and this is just gonna make my life easier. So that's what I'm doing. So we've got a couple connectors. That one goes there. One right there. And I don't know, I don't think, let me just do those two. Let's see what happens. All right, what a pain in the ass this thing is. There's 2 more clips down here. There's this bracket you got to slide on. This you slide onto a bracket. Another one over there you slide onto a bracket. Just random clips for no apparent reason. Anyway, we have visibility. Now, what does it look like down there? Okay. Ow, forehead. Okay. I'm sure there's clips or something that locks this in place. More debris. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can figure this out. Yes! Got it. That was harder than it needed to be. So, here. Old one. Very plasticky. Very green coolanty. But can't tell if it was leaking at all. This is purely preventive. But this thing was definitely stuck in there. I mean, I needed channel locks as close to the end here as I could get it, and then rocking, and then pushing and pulling and tugging and begging. So, but this one looks pretty perfect. Looks like Ryan went and hit a home run on this one. So we're gonna lube this thing up, clean out the back of the water pump housing, and start reassembly. Ideally, you should be able to put all of this together. There's the new piece with a new metal T. Went to the junkyard and pulled out one of these today because that was missing. So ideally, we should be able to put this whole piece together in one shot. Let's see. Man, let me tell you what, I don't know what to say. What a pain in the livid ass. This part looks like it's all right. The thermostat, I'm slowly putting things back together now, but this is 2 hours, 2.5 hours of struggle fest 2026. This crossover pipe, what a livid pain in my ass. It's probably gonna crack or leak. Yeah, those are scratches I put on it because I've had to take this, put it on and take it off about 4 times because nothing over here would line up. I could not get that pin to do anything. You know, that pin, wherever the hell it is, that one, that was a pain in the balls, let me tell you. So it's mostly all back together. New pipe in here. That whole thing's new. Really good fit too, honestly. Good clamps. So for what, 25 bucks, I think that was well worth the purchase. No oil filter or air filter is in. The hose over here is back tight down there, tight. That's actually a clamp or a pin, slide, whatever you call those things. Yeah, that, not a worm gear. This pipe is tight down here to the intercooler. All these are torqued down. All the lines are back. I do need to connect that back into here. That is back. That is there. I think actually it went back together pretty good. I am going to put my brace back in so that way I can close the hood, because if I close the hood now, there's no getting it open. Let me do that, and then I've manually cranked this thing over before putting the plugs back in. Probably 10, 15 more times. Seems smooth. I got to connect all of these yet. And then she's going to be ready to spin. O2 is connected, and the exhaust Vano sensor is connected. So is the intake back there connected. Timing feels good. Yeah, I did the brake flush, which that's the expensive stuff. $30 for a liter, I think it was. .4 low viscosity. All right, I'll put the front panel or the front bracket back in place, and we'll crank this thing over without any plugs. Panel back in. A little grease, or I should say lithium. Batteries plugged back in. That is good looking motor mount. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go pull the fuse for the fuel pump, and I think we're gonna crank her over. That's an easy win. She's ready for plugs and a fuse and fuel and maybe spark. Now, I do remember as a kid, we had one of the mechanics in our bus garage had a spark plug cleaner, and I don't know if you can see this really well, but this was really scuzzy and nasty. Then I put this in the little sandblaster is what it is. And it came out really good, actually. And this was one of the El Cheapo sandblaster spark plug cleaners that you can get off Amazon. And it took a little patience, and it wasn't as good as the one we had back in the 80s. But I'm telling you, it did a pretty good job on the plugs. You just got to make sure you really thoroughly clean these things when you're done. So, yeah, other than that, made them look almost new. I won't put gas in it, but I'll put the beauty cover back on. All right. I never want to run it. To me, it works perfect right now, forever. Oh, I got to get my pin for that. But yeah, right now, as far as I know, this car is 100%. If I never have to run it, I probably could still sleep. Anyway, let's get it started after I go to work, maybe tonight. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous right now. It is 24 hours later, and I can't see anything else that I need to do. I think the next step is to just fire this bad boy up. I'm going to throw the fuse back in so we get a fuel pump. Other than that, she's ready to spring back to life. All right, fuse is back in. Will we have a bag of nails? Marbles? Will the transmission work? Will it start? We're all going to find out. Pretty rickety-tickety. Ooh, ominous. Okay. Turn some power back on. I haven't even seen if the radio works. I'm just delaying, really. Nothing in there. I don't even know how to turn the stereo on. Hey, that works. Okay, cool. Stereo works. I don't know how to turn it off, though. Oh, okay, cool. All right. I guess enough procrastination. Let's see if she'll fire. You ready? What do you guys hear? You hearing anything weird? I mean, I'm not. And she idled down nicely.
Guys, I think I have a running car. I have no cautions, no warnings, no check engine light. Makes me a little nervous, actually. Nothing I do works like that. Let me see. Brake lights. Reverse lights. What wheels are going to turn? Front wheels turn. We got reverse. We have reverse. Drive. We have drive. That's what I really like. It's really quiet. Huh. My headlights don't work. I can't figure out why. Kidding. I know why. I mean, chalk this up as a win, right? Yeah? Mosquitoes are out. She sounds good. Okay. Well, let's bleed her out a little bit. Get some more bubbles out. And there be bubbles coming out. Yep. Bubbles and more bubbles. More bubbles. Maybe turn on the heat. All right. My man. That's a win. That clatter you hear, that's just, those are the injectors. It's running. Come on. My first Mini. All right. I guess I'm going to go see if the alternator is like your mom. See if she's putting out 14.2. That works. The AC compressor is not, however, so that's probably just low on a little refrigerant. But she is not clicking on. So alternator check. AC, no check. I'm thoroughly impressed with myself. Yep, a couple more bubbles. I think we got good flow here. She's pretty smooth coming out of the bleed hole now. Big win. Big, big win. Drips and leaks. Yep, all over. Oh, man, missed it by that much. So close. Oh, shit, that's oil, bro. Okay, well, we're blowing oil pretty good. I mean, not supposed to happen. I mean, I get coolant. You're supposed to be here. But I got a line, a cooler. I don't know if it's a turbo line. Can't tell from right now, but she was steady streaming off the exhaust header.
Especially when it gets warm, she's really nice. Bad girl. Bad girl. All right, we're going to take the top bracket off and take this whole rad pack off of here and slide it around because I really don't feel like fishing it out of, my coolant line, or not coolant, but my washer line is going to be the limiting factor here. I don't want to lose all that fluid all over the floor. But let's get a look on how everything is kind of routed now. How about that? So it looks like bolt, Torx. There's 2 to 16s underneath. A coolant line or AC line down there. We'll drain the coolant, but we'll get everything kind of prepped so that way when my new parts show up, it's bing bang boom and we're driving a Mini Cooper. The problem I had was there's one more bolt, or nut I should say, on the back side of in here. One more. He's on the back side. It's actually the other side, not this one, but inside here. But the nut is under here. You can get to it pretty easily. So we got 3 nuts and 1 Torx per arm. That's the bulk of it. Took the intercooler off really easy, actually. Those pieces pop off each corner. They go right here, covering the nut or the bolt, the Torx down there. And then I've already loosened up the intercooler hot side and the cold side, and they just pushed off pretty easy. And then the intercooler came right off nice and easy. I'm debating right now whether I should just take the water jug off to make life easier, because it's just a mess. And I hate having antifreeze all over the floor. It drives me nuts. So make sure you get the harness off, especially both sides, honestly. But right now, I gotta move this upper hose out of the way so I can get to the lower hose and release it from there, I think. Although I could just separate the hose on the bottom. Nah, I gotta take it off up here. I'll just do that. Okay, that side's out. Forgot. All right, take 2. I'm gonna try to get the fans off now. Other coolant line, or AC line. I think I disconnected the wrong one. More mess, as you can see. It's starting to annoy me. Take 3. Stop leaking. Stop leaking. Leaked the whole way out. But there is the front of a Mini Cooper. Sorry about the fan, but it's like 90. So this pipe, I'm not going to mess with it, leaving it alone. There's nothing in it that restricts anything. This pipe for the intercooler, the hot side, is definitely going to get replaced. I've ordered a few parts, and one of those few parts happens to be a much larger stainless intercooler, which looks beautiful, and we'll see. The heat shield will be coming off, both of them, top, bottom, and the inner one. There's 3 of them. This intercooler is coming off. I want to get some access, and I want to see this thing leak before I fully disassemble it. The first thing, O2 sensor, O2, heat shield, O2. God, this is so much nicer to work on like this. This is crazy. And I'm glad I'm doing this, not just because of this, but even for the antifreeze, because the green stuff is still, there was a lot still left in the system. So this flushed out a huge chunk of the old green crap. So with the, because it's like a mixture of blue-green right now. Yes, these are the impossible wires to do when I was doing that thermostat. God, what a pain in the ass these were. Everything is in your way. Now we'll try our luck with these. I gotta be gentle. There's one. Come on. Yep, there's two. So that should be freed up, and it is. First section of the exhaust is free. I got a bolt here and a bolt. Look at that. I didn't even, yeah, I did. And header pipe is off. One more heat shield to go, and I can get to the engine. So let's do this one. And bolt. Bolt. All right, start it. Let's get you in here. So I took just the cooler off first, and so that I didn't break this, just take those 2/8 off. This whole bracket will just kind of fall down, and then you won't have to take, you'll have to take this end off still, but you won't have to take off that end. It can still stay where it was, kind of there. But either way, it's off. It does make a massive mess. And that is disgusting. Hold on. Let's see what we got in there. You should just use a pick. What do you think? Ah, God. That is kind of gross, I'm not gonna lie. All right, so next I'm going to take the whole housing off, and 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, there's probably a fifth one somewhere, but the housing will come off next. Let's see if these are all the same length. So far, so good. Yep, all same length. I will say, I beat up one of these pretty good. This one, taking the cooler off. This thing was that one, and I thought it was going to break, honestly. So that's why I ended up taking this out of the way, so I had a straight shot on it and a little impact, and I was able to get it off with that. But yeah. Careful with this. Those weren't fun to play with. All right, what do we got left? How much more oil is going to come out of here now? All right. That was a good sound. And more blockages. I'm not gonna lie, that's a little concerning. Is this what heart surgeons see when they open up, look at the size of that chunk. I mean, that's my finger. Let me set that to the side because I want to feel what that is later. Boy, I'm glad I'm doing this because this is just as plugged as all the other ones were. So the coolant side is definitely the side it isn't flowing very well. Well, I think this was my culprit. It's actually below the lip and it is, yeah, this is freaking terrible. This is the oil. It's just one boogered up gasket all the way around. So I think pop the filter out and we're gonna go throw both of these pieces in the ultrasonic because this has all those little passages in between and I want to make sure that is cleaned out. Right, so while I'm waiting on parts, I'm gonna knock out a few other tasks. I gotta do the front and rear differentials. What else was there? The .4 low viscosity fluid. I'm gonna do a full brake flush on this thing and get, because I don't know how long that stuff's been in there. So that's gonna get swapped out. That is $30 a liter, by the way. Wow. Yeah, I guess the low viscosity makes a difference in that whole thing, but whatever. So I got that. The cabin filter is probably going to be due for a change, so I'm going to drop that, which is underneath the glove box, and my key fob. So these keys, apparently this is the year, or this version, whatever year, model, something through like 2013 or 14, I don't remember the exact cutoff, but they have the dumbest possible key fob in the world. You can't put a battery in it, allegedly. So you have to cut open the key and solder out or desolder and then put in a new Panasonic 20 something or other soldered in to the motherboard and put it back together, or just put it in a new key fob case that snaps together instead of glues back together. And that's just to get the buttons working again, because when you put the key in the slot, the power of the car is strong enough for the RF signal and everything else to work. So the car will always start regardless. However, the battery, as soon as you get out of the car, will not hold a charge anymore. So you have to buy a new key fob for it, which BMW Mini doesn't sell anymore. They don't support it anymore. So you got to go to local locksmiths. And the few that I spoke to yesterday, they said $350 to $400 if you're lucky, and then maybe up to 500 and something or other if it has some other coating that's needed or something. I don't know. It was ridiculous. So we're gonna probably forego getting a spare key for a while until I can find a better option on that. So let's get to some of that stuff knocked out before the new parts show up. Gear oil. So where we're going, I'm gonna suck it out where I are, and it's only, I think, like 0.7 of a liter, or is it a quart? I don't know the difference yet. So I'm just gonna suck that out with some vacuum pressure and fill her back up and see how scuzzy this stuff looks. The end, that's the old one, or that's the plug. Just so you see, 13 millimeter. Not terrible looking so far. It's actually a bit of a pain in the ass because there is zero space to get a tube down there. And this is what I got out of it. And I am pretty much off the bottom. It's got some, I know there's air bubbles in there, but it is pretty black. Let's see what it looks like in the pour test. Not god awful, but definitely time. The rear, much easier because nothing was in the way of getting in there. You can just go in and straight down. But that one, for whatever reason, looks like it was worse than the front. So we'll go dump this one as well, see how that looks with a little daylight coming through. Yeah, definitely overdue. But I would say that's going to wrap up the differentials. I thought I'd go for a quick cabin filter change, but yeah, that's a surprise. Nasty little things. Look at a nasty, nasty mess. Ugh. Well, here goes the cleaning. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Parts are going to be a little while. I probably have almost an hour right now, and I don't want to kill it. I've got enough coming up for one more video, and we'll get that thing back on the road. Pretty rickety tick, I think. Rickety tick. I like the sound of that. So I think while we wait on these parts and get all these other things taken care of, I'm going to close this video out. So if you're interested in seeing how this thing plays out, there's going to be one more in the video series. And pushing it around, it sounds like it probably needs a rear shock or two. So I might put some Bilsteins on it. That's going to be pretty boring though. We'll see if I put it in. The rear shocks on this are pretty easy. And yeah, we'll see what else happens. I get this thing out on its test drive. I'm sure some things are going to break, and we'll see what happens there. So anyway, I'm Derek. This is 4 in Tune, and stick around for the next iteration. It should be coming out in probably 2 weeks at most. We'll close this car out, and we'll see. Bye.